So, guys, welcome again to the Let's Talk Agricultural podcast, where I will talk on a very specific topic that I think is very current and important for us to discuss as a nation. I think more than ever, we're in a time where feed security or self sufficiency is important with all these tariffs and a clear nationalistic type of view, political views from some of these um, politicians is in the air. And I think it's best for us now to safeguard some of our agricultural commodities that we can use for ourselves and potentially export to the world with how we see this trade war is going. I always talk with persons and they will say, hey, Khalil, why is that we're not planting a particular crop to feed our own animals? And it really sounds like a great idea, but I really don't think a lot of persons understand the scale and the required value chain infrastructure policy that has to go inside to make this thing successful. So that person say, why Jamaica not planting their own corn? What I know about corn, especially like in the US, corn is just not planted for human or animal feed. There's a lot of other spin-offs from using corn. For one, they use corn in making ethanol. So that's a next potential avenue to make some money from corn itself. The byproduct from that could be DDGS, which we use as animal feed. You have corn syrup, which is a very big deal. They go in all our candies, all our sodas. That's also a industry that depends on corn. It's not a standalone that we're planting corn for animal feed. And I don't see how corn planted in Jamaica could have all these additional spin-offs. So we kind of have to look at crops that have a very similar type of style. And that's why, for me, I want to present cassava as that option for us as a nation to look at. For one, we eat cassava as bami. We have cassava flour, which could help us reduce the importation of wheat flour from these other countries. And then we have the animal feed component of cassava that we can dive into. So you can see that we already have this product here. Farmers know to plant it. And we see other industries. We saw Red Stripe using cassava for beer production. I'm sure we can find other industries across the country that could use cassava in their manufacturing process. So to me, cassava tick the box on that first goal. But how is it that we look at cassava to plant it for animal feed? I don't think, again, it's not a standalone crop, but it will fall into the system of, how is that we're already using cassava? We have cassava running through bami factories, and they produce like the skin of the cassava, good fiber source for animals in some countries, especially in Africa. They would use that part of the cassava to feed their ruminants. And we're talking about cattle, sheep, and goat. Tubers now that cannot be used in the additional process to say to make bami or to, whatever other purpose they have cassava for, they turn that into animal feed. And that's how I'd like us to look at it as a country. So the investment required, and I know will be a very big question. It won't be cheap and we need heavy mechanization, but we already know that this exists in the world. So for one, we could literally plant cassava with limited manpower because we have a tractor and a planter for that. If you talk about harvesting the cassava, you can mechanically harvest cassava and you will pick it up, put it into shoots and carry it to the factory. So there you see modernization, mechanization coming into play that would help reduce the labor costs we expect or the human influence into this type of production. We can go fully mechanized. After that, what next? Processing of this cassava into animal feed. There's a couple of processes we use. I think the big one is that a lot of people think about is a dehydration process. So anything to do with heating up a product, we're looking at JPS electricity bill being very high. And I kind of agree that when you look at this production system, the electricity bill would probably be one of the biggest recurring costs we'll have. The investment into it also, I think, could be pretty good. But I really think that, probably between $200 to $300 million could start us off with a factory, machinery, and the land to plant it. And if we plant a certain acreage and get a particular yield, and we're looking at the price point for cassava close to corn, then you would make back your money in probably 2 goals. What is cassava purpose? Why would you use it? Cassava is perfect for a substitute for corn. And we as a country import a lot of corn. If you're just talking at the feed mill alone for the both feed companies in Jamaica, I can guarantee you that the probably they both of them import over a couple 100,000 metric tons of corn on a yearly basis. And you can go and look at the price for what corn is and just see how much money could be saved or could be redistributed into our local economy if we had farmers planting cassava at that scale. And I'm saying I don't think we cannot fully replace corn. But if as a country we're looking to say, you know what, you know, as a nutritionist, I could probably substitute probably maximum 20%. I could replace corn by 20% with cassava. So just think about if Jamaica was supposed to replace 20% of our imports of corn with a local based product like cassava that can go into our animal feed. That is US millions of dollars that will be in our farmers' hands or in the producers here local hands. The next beneficial effect of this is the volatility of the market. Tomorrow, China and US go to war, corn prices is going to go up. And we don't have a cushioning system for these prices. We can't go negotiate with the big boys. So cassava play that role where we can always keep that price, not saying fixed, but we could have it at a particular point that if we see a 10 or 5% increase on corn, that will impact our formula costs. Our local cassava could help to cushion the effect, either by increasing the use of cassava in the feed or, you know, some other strategy that we can use to mitigate against volatility of some of these animal feed prices. So if we're looking for self-sufficiency, animal feed security, I think cassava is that product that the country should be looking at to see how is it that we can integrate this into our animal feeding systems, both for monogastric and ruminant animals.